Hey mates, good afternoon. Here's a part 4 video today, and this will be my last one. So right now I'm kind of like informally visiting a site, but without like paying the admission because I honestly didn't know this place would be open, given that it's, you know, northern, southern, and western day. But yeah, so we're actually visiting a well-known area that is called the Edison and Ford Winter Estates. So maybe wondering, like, okay, is that named after, you know, Thomas Edison and Henry Ford? Yes, you would be correct if that's what you thought. So little background story before I get in depth. I'm sure all of you have, of course, heard of Thomas Edison, you know, one of the most well-known inventors of his time, especially when it came to motion picture, the phonograph, and of course, the light bulb itself. Now, personally, when it came to, you know, some of his ideals, I never fully really agreed with, because some of the methods he used to test his direct current electricity were actually quite cruel. You know, I'm sure many of you have heard that example of when he actually used live elephants to test direct current. Usually it would kill them. So, you know, he made some great inventions during his lifetime, but at the same time, when it actually came to the, you know, the smear campaign and him trying to self-promote, he was a little cruel. And of course, he had his arch nemesis, Nikola Tesla, which I'm sure many of you have heard the car Tesla brand. I don't really believe those two are related, but Nikola Tesla was really the individual responsible for creating modern electricity as we know it, alternating current. But aside from that, I'm sure all of you have also heard of Henry Ford, which, of course, he is the founder of the Ford Company, you know, such as that Ford passing right by me. He actually worked for the Edison Illuminated Company, which was sort of like a mechanical engineering company at the time. This was back in the way early 1900s, based in Detroit, Michigan. Now, a couple of times he actually tried to set up his own business as a mechanical engineer, but he was actually unsuccessful because most of the time it went bankrupt. But once he had enough investors and stocks for funding, he then successfully opened the Ford Motor Company in 1903, in which during that same time he did produce the Model A, which of course is renowned as one of the first vehicles that were gas powered at the time, gasoline. So ever since, or no, Model A, Model T, excuse me. Why did I say Model A? It just dawned on me. But essentially, since he initially worked for Edison, and through his mentorship and success, Thomas Edison and Henry Ford formed a very close friendship. So back In, I believe it was 1885, Thomas Edison went down to visit Fort Myers for the first time, and he absolutely enjoyed it down here. And then you give it another 15-20 years later, and eventually Henry Ford actually bought a property next to the Edison estate not too long after. So like what's in front of me right here is indeed the Mangoes estate. This was actually Henry Ford's home, or his winter estate during the colder months back up north. And it literally borders just along with the Caloosahatchee River. So now I can actually provide a discussion of what is around me, because I kind of had to do a little bit of a background story before I would really get into it. So as we walk over just a little further to my left, this is the actual Edison estate itself. So this was Thomas Edison's winter estate that he would actually go to every year. And to think he only stayed here for a very short span of the year, probably just a couple of months. But he did have a lot of caretakers here. But for a time, while Thomas Edison was down here, he was actually very interested in gardening and cultivation. And I will say, he did cultivate a lot of non-native plants, in which some of them actually became invasive down here. Because, well, Thomas Edison at the time, or, you know, a lot of people, didn't really know about the concept of invasive plants and what they're capable of doing to an ecosystem. So even despite his good intentions of, you know, trying to get to understand plant biology, he did, you know, unintentionally introduce exotic species here. Wow. You'd say he was definitely one of the wealthiest people during his time. My goodness. But what's fascinating about where we are is just across the street to my right, there's actually a laboratory that is based here now, which provides an opportunity to understand more about botany. But this is just kind of like an initial exposure. I think definitely next time when I have a chance to come down to Fort Myers again, I want to actually, you know, pay the admission and actually explore more of the grounds. You can't do it unless if you pay the admission. And the admission is actually, it's $25 for adults. So it's it's quite a bit. But like I said, I'll just have to plan it a little better for next time. So, all right, you guys. Hope you learned something of value. And, you know, even where I'm standing, it's a lot of history. You know, we had two well-known innovators that inhabited this part of Fort Myers. And honestly, I really had no idea that Henry Ford and Thomas Edison had a really close relationship. I had no idea until today. So that's my point, mates, is you learn something new every day. So alright, you guys, take care. And Journey on a Journey is once again outwards. Take care, folks. See ya.